There are roughly 2.6 million Black-owned companies in the United States. Within that number, there are roughly 2.6 million Black-owned companies in the United States. Within those numbers, Atlanta is in the top 5 for best city.
Welcome back. Was this cool?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Tell me about the room.
Okay.
Let's go.
So this is the innovator room right here. In this room, what we will be doing is we will be teaching entrepreneurs, right? And so this is an affirmation wall. God first, legacy, mentor, pioneer, purpose, persistence, relentless, commitment. These are the things that it takes to be an innovator. And what I would say is this: for people who are aspiring to be an entrepreneur, my greatest thing I can tell you is don't be afraid. And it was kind of like, what one thing that I want to focus on that I can bring my creativity to my artistry to, and for me it was the clothing. Challenges, it comes with its rewards, but we've been steady growing since we started.
And has it been smooth, or has it been a lot of rough patches along the way?
It's always rough patches. It's always something. For instance, before we moved into this new building, it was supposed to be a smooth transition. We were shut down for almost 2 weeks.
And what did you do next?
Okay. So,
1 second.
all right. What we did was we came up with the graphics, and I didn't like none of the first designs really, but I was like, I gotta start somewhere. I gotta start with something. And we was actually, at the time, we was using somebody to print it up. And about 3 months, I spent about $10,000. And I was like, man, I'm putting too much money out before I even get started, because I love marketing, right? I love ad marketing. And so what we did was we went out and brought the equipment. And so we was like, look, we're gonna start printing ourselves. And so that's what we did. We started printing ourselves. One is that we can control the inventory, and 2 is that we can give people jobs.
Okay, so how far would you say you've come now?
Ooh, I feel like we've come a long way from the time that we started. We pretty much started at the house. I remember moving into my first office. It was crazy, and then we moved into another building. But actually, when we were at the first office, we wound up getting like 4 or 5 offices in this building, and it was cool. It was cool, but it was just all over the place. 1 was on the first floor, 2 was on the second floor. It was just crazy. And so when we moved into our 2,500 square foot building, it gave us a little more room to expand and grow in doing vending. And as I did that, it started building up more exposure across the whole country. And I did that for maybe about 4 or 5 years straight when I was touring with artists. And I kind of brought that back to Atlanta, stationary, and put out Unapologetic Gear as I put out Unapologetic Urban Gear as a whole, and it just started rolling from there.
You invested how much, and then
Okay.
just as far as building your website, deciding on a logo, like the small details.
Oh, got you. Okay. So I was trying to come up with what was the right name for what I wanted to do. And I just prayed on it. I didn't know exactly what I wanted to do. So came up with Unapologetic, and I was like, yo, this is it. You know what I mean? Being unapologetic about my faith. And I figured, I'm from a street background, so I was like, I don't want to be corny. I didn't want to be corny. I wanted something that would transcend well in the culture. And I figured, hey, look, Unapologetic is it. And so we did Unapologetic Urban Gear.
Okay.
And what was the other thing? So success to me is giving people jobs and growing the company as a whole. That's success to me. But I think when I hit the 100,000 mark years ago, that was the first like, okay, I think we got something here. I don't necessarily know how to navigate it, and I still feel at times I don't know how to navigate it. And I feel like if you don't keep setting goals, especially goals that's totally out of reach, and you reach your goals, that I think that becomes your end. So I always try to 10x my goals, like Greg Cardone would say, because it keeps you on your toes, it keeps you pushing for more. I believe that brand marketing is everything. We spend a lot of money on branding at a time where people actually turn down with branding. Even the bigger companies, we turn up on branding. We know in the long run that content is everything, that content matters, and I don't care if it's $1 billion brand. My goal is to put out more content than anybody.
Okay, do you have brand ambassadors, influencers? This is Atlanta, Black Hollywood. So do you have, do you try to reach out to celebrities? Have you had celebrities in your gear?
So we really don't do brand ambassadors and things of that nature. It's not that we're not willing to do it, we just don't do it right now. But we are partnered with Jonathan McReynolds. He's pretty much the biggest name in gospel right now. And we put out a Grace Tea. And it's been doing crazy. It's been doing amazing. Yeah, so that's pretty much the only person that we are partnered with as far as the brand, and that's because we've been touring together for years, and it's more of a relationship. For me, everything is relational.
Gotcha.
Yes,
Huh?
I said we need to get a script for it now.
Talking about for this right here?
Yeah.
That'd be fire.
You ain't got no sneakers to match that?
You know what?
You ain't got no sneakers to match
I'm gonna
that?
get something, bro. You know what I want? It's the old union stuff.
Oh.
You know what them joints?
Oh, yeah.
Ooh, that orange is crazy. Boom. Heading out. Shipping out today. That's dope. Everything that we do is a part of that grind hard, pray harder. You feel what I'm saying? It's an order to the way things are done in the faith. And I believe that we should pray before we move. You know what I'm saying? But also too, because we should have the best work ethic also. So that we should grind, but we should grind with direction. So this is the printing process. So this here is the Sweatshop University. So what actually happens in this room, not only do we print for Unapologetic, but we also train students every Saturday in this room. And man, students come from everywhere: Chicago, New York, North Carolina, South Carolina, which also let me know that we can actually set up chapters in these other cities. But yeah, Sweatshop University is where it goes down. And we use, these are called screen print transfers. So it's the same process of screen print, but on the transfer. So heat plus time plus pressure is what gives you an absolute great quality, which is very important. You want the shirts to last, you know what I mean? So you want people to be, you want to see people 5 years down the line and that shirt still look good, it's still soft, you know? Not in a traditional sense. For instance, like But God. Marv came up with But God. And at first, I didn't want to use But God. The reason I didn't want to use it because I was like, man, that might be a little too corny. I don't know. But when he broke down what But God means and how God steps into a situation or steps in our situation, I was like, oh, this is dope. Because you have to look at things from both ways, right? You have to look at it from the aspect of you putting out a design, but also how can you market that to people so people can accept that? You know what I mean? And it's real. So we're not just putting out t-shirts just to put out t-shirts. So trust God, trust the process was a real situation for me.
Henry says in the next year, he not only plans on expanding his headquarters, which includes a game room, but also adding a Mummy and Me line to his already successful business. Reporting from Greater Atlanta, Sydné Autry for Atlanta Black Star.